The hall of the Galactic Council was filled with voices, loud and full of anger. Hundreds of alien delegates shouted across the chamber, their words crashing against each other like waves in a storm. Some had cold metallic voices, some hissed through sharp teeth, others rumbled deep like thunder. But all of them carried the same demand. Destroy the humans. The words echoed again and again, bouncing from wall to wall, growing louder as more voices joined. Humanity was not present. Earth had no seat in the council. They had never asked for one, and perhaps no one wanted them to have one. To the gathered species, humans were dangerous, unpredictable, and worst of all, hard to control. A massive scaled creature, tall and glowing with pale green eyes, slammed its claw against the council table. We delay no longer. Humanity must be erased before they spread beyond their world. Another, a thin insectoid with glass-like wings, shrieked in agreement. They survived every war. They adapt too fast. They must be ended now, before they rise above us all. The chamber roared with approval. Dozens of alien hands, claws, and appendages struck against the tables. A vote was being pushed. A final decision was coming. But none of them knew that a human was already inside the chamber. Hidden behind shadows at the far edge of the gallery, a man sat silently. He wore a cloak that blurred his outline, a device stolen from the very council species that now demanded his death. His face was calm, but his hands were tight around the small console he carried. Every word was being recorded. Every secret thought was being stored. His name was Commander Rylan Kane, an old soldier who had seen too many wars. The council thought humanity was still crawling on its single planet, unaware of the galaxy's scale. They thought Earth had no spies, no ships, no reach beyond its star. They were wrong. Rylan had listened to every insult, every threat, every promise of extermination. And he waited. Because humans did not act without reason, they acted when it mattered most. The council's speaker, a towering machine intelligence, raised its glowing arms. The vote is clear. Humanity will be destroyed. Their planet will burn. Their people will be scattered into dust. A silence followed. The kind of silence that carried weight, like a hammer waiting to fall. The alien delegates nodded, satisfied. Some smiled with sharp teeth. Others flicked their tongues in triumph. None noticed the faint shimmer in the shadows, the human who now stood up slowly, his cloak fading. His voice cut through the silence. Calm. Steady. Human. I heard every word. The chamber froze. Hundreds of eyes turned toward the sound. The shimmer vanished, and the man stepped into view, revealing himself fully. His boots echoed against the polished floor as he walked forward, his gaze locked on the speaker. A ripple of panic went through the chamber. How had a human entered the most secure hall in the galaxy? How long had he been there? And worse, what had he heard? Impossible, the scaled creature hissed, rising from its seat. This chamber is sealed. Rylan's lips curved into the faintest smile. Not sealed enough. The insectoid screeched. Kill him. Guards moved, weapons aimed. But Rylan didn't flinch. Instead, he held up the console in his hand. Its screen glowed, showing lines of recorded speech, the very threats and declarations that had just filled the chamber. Every voice. Every demand for extermination. Proof. You talk of ending humanity, Rylan said, his voice still calm but sharper now. And yet you speak as if we are weak. As if we are not listening. As if we are not ready. His words carried across the vast chamber. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. A few looked nervous. Rylan continued, his voice lower now, but more dangerous than before. Humans don't forget. And we don't forgive easily. You wanted to decide our death, without us knowing. But I was here. I heard all of it. The machine intelligence spoke, its voice cold and mechanical. You cannot stop the council. The vote is already passed. Rylan's eyes narrowed. Then hear this, he said, his tone like iron. I am not here to beg. I am here to warn you. If you bring war to Earth, humanity will not fight for survival. We will fight for victory. And when humans fight for victory, worlds burn. A hush fell over the chamber. No one moved. The weight of his words sank deep. Rylan turned his back on them, walking toward the exit. None dared stop him. The console in his hand glowed brighter, transmitting everything he had recorded. By the time he stepped out of the chamber, the entire galaxy would know. The Council thought they had spoken in secret. But now, every species would hear their plan. And worse, they would hear a human's warning. Behind him, the chamber erupted in chaos. Some shouted to capture him, others screamed to silence him, but the fear in their voices betrayed the truth. For the first time, the Galactic Council realized the terrible mistake they had made. They had demanded humanity's death, while a human was listening. And humanity always listened. Rylan Kane did not rush as he left the council chamber. His steps were steady, deliberate, like a soldier who had already chosen his path. Behind him, the voices of panic, anger, and fear grew louder, but none dared to chase him into the dark corridors. The cloak around his shoulders shimmered again, bending light until he was gone from their sight. Outside the chamber, the great city of Ulisar stretched across the metallic world, a capital built for the galaxy's most powerful. Its towers rose into the clouds, glowing with alien lights. Ships of every kind filled the skies, their trails burning bright against the blackness above. Billions of lives moved through its streets, most unaware that, only moments ago, their leaders had spoken of ending an entire species. And now, a human walked among them. Rylan's console blinked as it completed transmission. Every hidden channel, every network humanity controlled in secret, now carried the recording of the Council's words. Back on Earth, in hidden bases across colonies, and even in deep space listening posts, commanders would be receiving the message. The galaxy has chosen war. But it was not fear Rylan felt, it was calculation. He knew humans too well. He knew what they would do once the truth spread. As he crossed the plaza outside, a shadow fell across him. A massive drone hovered above, its scanners flickering in patterns of blue. The machine's voice thundered down. Unidentified species detected. Halt. Rylan didn't. The drone's weapons swiveled toward him. Pedestrians scattered in panic, alien civilians rushing away. Rylan lifted his console again, pressing a single command. For a moment, the drone froze, its lights flickering, its weapons lowering. Then, with a crackle of sparks, it crashed into the ground, smoking and lifeless. Rylan glanced at the wreck, his face expressionless. He whispered quietly to himself, "You built it. We broke it. That's how it always goes." But he wasn't alone anymore. Two figures approached him from the far end of the plaza. They were not guards. They were not soldiers. They moved carefully, their eyes locked on him. One was tall and lean, skin shimmering like liquid silver. The other was shorter, covered in fur, eyes sharp and cautious. They stopped a few steps away. "You are human," the silver one said softly, as if speaking a forbidden word. Rylan did not answer immediately. He studied them, waiting. The furred alien spoke next, her voice quick, nervous. "We heard what they said in the chamber. We do not agree with it." Rylan's eyes narrowed. Allies? Or spies sent to test him? The silver one raised both hands slowly, showing no weapons. "Not all of us want humanity destroyed. Some of us warned the Council, long ago. We told them what humans are capable of. But they never listened." Rylan's silence pressed on them like a weight. Finally, he asked one question. "Why are you talking to me?" The furred alien's ears flicked back. "Because we know what will come now. The Council will send fleets. They will burn your skies. And when humans answer," she hesitated, lowering her voice, "none of us will survive the storm." Rylan looked down at his console. The message had already gone out. Earth knew. Humanity was awake now. The galaxy had chosen its path. Still, he studied the two aliens in front of him. They were afraid, but not of him. They were afraid of what was coming. "Then tell me," Ryland said slowly, "why should I let you live?" The words struck them like a blade. The silver one bowed his head, his metallic skin rippling with unease. "Because some of us will stand aside. We will not fight you. Perhaps," he hesitated, "perhaps some of us will even help you." For a moment, Ryland saw something in their eyes. Desperation. Not loyalty. Not friendship. But survival. He turned away from them, walking toward the docking platforms. His ship was hidden there, cloaked in silence, waiting. Behind him, the furred alien called out, "If you go now, the Council will hunt you. You cannot outrun their fleets." Ryland stopped, half-turning, his cloak shifting with the movement. His face was calm, but his words cut like steel. "They think they are hunting me," he said. "But it is humanity that will be hunting them." The plaza fell silent after his departure. The two aliens exchanged a long look, fear heavy in their eyes. They had seen it now, the calm certainty in a human's voice. A certainty that promised war unlike anything the galaxy had ever faced. Far above, in the orbit of Ulisar, massive warships stirred. The Council had already given orders. Their fleets were moving. Their hunters were preparing. But Ryland Kane was already on his ship, already setting a course for home. As the engines roared to life, he whispered into the empty air, words meant not for him, but for those who would soon hear his warning across the stars. "You wanted humanity's death. Now you will see what it means to wake us." The ship vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving only silence behind. And the galaxy held its breath. Ryland Kane's ship tore through the darkness of space, faster than light, the stars stretching into endless streams of silver. Alone in the cockpit, he sat in silence. His hands rested steady on the controls, but his mind was alive with thoughts. The console beside him glowed faintly. Messages flashed one after another, pouring in from hidden human channels across the galaxy. The recording he had sent from the council chamber had spread everywhere. Now the replies were coming. Some were short and sharp. "We're ready." Others were longer, filled with grim determination. "If they want war, then war they will have." And some were darker still. "It is time they remembered why humanity was never invited to their council." Ryland leaned back, closing his eyes for a moment. The council thought Earth was isolated, weak, still trapped on its single blue planet. But they had no idea of the truth. Humanity had already built ships beyond their sight, colonies hidden in places the Council had never reached, bases buried deep under moons and asteroids. For decades, they had been watching, preparing, waiting. And now, the waiting was over. A warning light blinked on the ship's dashboard. Something was following. Ryland's eyes snapped open. He switched the display, and there it was, an incoming fleet. At least 6 ships, their signals marked with the crest of the Galactic Council. They had wasted no time. The ships closed in, surrounding his position like predators circling prey. A cold voice came over the comms, mechanical and sharp. "Human vessel. Power down your engines. Surrender. You will be taken alive for questioning." Ryland almost smiled. "Alive," he muttered. "That means they're afraid." He didn't answer. Instead, he flipped a sequence of switches on his console. His ship's cloak reactivated, wrapping him once more in silence and shadow. To the council ships, he simply vanished. The comms erupted with confusion. "Target lost. Reacquire lock. Scan the sector." Ryland's ship slid under their formation like a phantom, unseen, unheard. His hands moved with the ease of long practice, guiding the vessel into the blind spots of his hunters. One by one, he placed small devices in their path, silent, waiting mines, invisible to normal scanners. Then he was gone, speeding away into the black. A moment later, the mines awoke. The fleet's sensors screamed warnings too late. Explosions tore through the darkness, ripping fire across the void. 3 ships shattered instantly, their hulls splitting apart. Another spun out of control, engines burning. The last 2 tried to flee, but their signals flickered, broken. Rylan didn't look back. He had no time for trophies. His destination was Earth. But already, the galaxy was stirring. Across distant star systems, the recording he had released played in secret chambers, in dark markets, in hidden rooms where whispers carried more power than weapons. Some species trembled at the Council's decision. Others cheered, eager to see humanity burned. And a few remembered old stories, warnings passed down for centuries. Stories of humans who never surrendered. Stories of wars where entire fleets vanished against a single human ship. Stories too dark to tell children, too real to forget. On the icy world of Serical, an old alien warrior whispered to his kin, "The Council has made a mistake. They do not know what they have awakened." Meanwhile, Ryland's ship entered Sol space. The familiar warmth of Earth's sun lit his cockpit, and for the first time in weeks, his chest felt lighter. The blue planet filled his view, beautiful and fragile, yet stronger than any world he had ever known. The comms came alive with voices the moment his ship was recognized. "Commander Kane, this is Control. We received your transmission. The Council has declared war." Ryland's voice was calm, steady. "Then prepare the response." A long silence followed, broken finally by words heavy with meaning. "Are you sure, Commander? This will not be survival anymore. This will be total war." Ryland stared at Earth, his home, the place every alien wanted to erase. He thought of the Council chamber, of the voices demanding humanity's death. He thought of the silence when he had stood and revealed himself. His answer was simple. They wanted us dead. Now they will see what it means when humans fight to live. The channel cut. The orders had been given. Across hidden bases, buried shipyards, and forgotten stations, humanity's fleet began to stir. Colossal engines roared awake. Ships that had never been seen by alien eyes lifted from their cradles. Soldiers, pilots, and commanders moved into place, their faces grim but ready. The galaxy believed humanity had no power. They would soon learn otherwise. From his cockpit, Rylan whispered into the darkness, words that carried like a promise. The Council thought they were the hunters. But the hunt begins now. And Earth prepared to rise. Deep under the mountains of Earth, the war room came alive. Screens flickered, maps of star systems stretched across the walls, and voices overlapped in urgent tones. Generals, admirals, and strategists filled the chamber, their faces grim but sharp with focus. At the center stood Commander Rylan Kane. He had returned only hours ago, yet his recording of the Galactic Council's words had already spread across every human stronghold. There was no debate now. The decision was clear. The galaxy had chosen war. Humanity would answer. General Astor, an older man with steel-gray hair, slammed his fist against the table. "They think we're weak. They think Earth is alone. But they don't know what we've built while they watched and laughed." Around him, the holographic display shifted, showing fleets hidden across the stars, vast warships, strike carriers, stealth frigates, all cloaked from alien eyes. Some had been waiting for decades, built in silence, powered by engines the Council had never seen. Admiral Reyes, her voice sharp, leaned forward. "The Council's fleets are moving. Scouts report they've already sent armadas towards Sol. Their plan is simple: strike Earth first, destroy the heart, then wipe out what's left." A low murmur spread across the room, but Rylan raised his hand and the noise fell silent. His voice was calm, steady, and it carried the weight of someone who had seen too many wars. "They are coming for us," he said. "But they don't understand who we are. They believe survival makes us desperate. They don't realize it makes us dangerous." The words sank into every ear. On the wall, the display shifted again, this time showing alien fleets gathering near the borders of Sol. Dozens of warships, larger and heavier than anything the council believed humans possessed. "They outnumber us 3-1, Reyes said coldly. "If we meet them head-on, it will be costly." A younger officer spoke nervously. "Should we retreat? Hide our colonies until the storm passes?" Ryland's gaze hardened. "No. If we run, they will follow us forever. If we stand, we teach them the truth. Humanity doesn't bow. We break the ones who try to chain us." General Astor grinned, fierce and unyielding. "Then let's break them." Orders flew across the chamber. Fleets were mobilized. Code signals sent to colonies and stations hidden far beyond the Council's reach. Engines roared to life across the stars as humanity's war machine awakened. But Ryland knew numbers were not enough. The Council's strength was overwhelming. If Earth fought like the Council expected, the war would be long and brutal. No, Ryland thought. This fight must begin with fear. "Admiral," he said, turning to Reyes, "deploy the Phantom Wing." Her eyes widened slightly. The Phantom Wing was more than a fleet, it was a legend. No alien had ever seen it. No alien had survived it. Cloaked ships armed with weapons far beyond Council knowledge, designed for one purpose only: strike from the dark and vanish. Reyes gave a sharp nod. "It will be done." Far above Earth, the first human fleets moved into orbit. Massive warships lifted from hidden drydocks, their armored hulls gleaming black against the void. Smaller ships darted between them, escorts and scouts falling into tight formations. Billions on Earth watched from the ground as the sky filled with engines. For the first time in centuries, the truth could no longer be hidden. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had been waiting. And now, the galaxy would see it. In the depths of space, on the edge of Sol, the alien armada advanced. Dozens of Council warships, bristling with weapons, their hulls marked with the sigils of a dozen species. They moved as one, a wall of power, certain of victory. The commander of the fleet, a scaled creature with burning green eyes, addressed his officers. "We strike Earth in one sweep. Their resistance will shatter. Their species will end before the week is done." But as his words echoed across the command deck, something flickered on their sensors. A ghost. A shadow. A ship that should not exist. Then, another. And another. One by one, cloaked human warships appeared in their midst, materializing like predators in the dark. The aliens had no time to react. The Phantom Wing struck. Beams of light tore through Council hulls. Missiles screamed silently through the void, finding targets with brutal precision. Explosions rippled across the fleet before they could even raise shields. The commander roared in disbelief. "Impossible! Humans cannot." His words were cut off as his ship split apart in fire. In less than 10 minutes, half the alien fleet was gone. The survivors scattered, retreating in chaos, their perfect formation broken like glass. And then the human ships were gone again, cloaking themselves, vanishing into the black as if they had never existed. But the damage was done. The survivors carried with them a message more terrifying than any words. Humans were not prey. Humans were hunters. Back on Earth, reports flooded the war room. The first strike had succeeded. The Council's fleets had been torn apart before they even reached Sol. Ryland stood silent, watching the reports scroll across the screens. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the room. "They came to destroy us," he said. "Now they will know what it feels like to be hunted." The room was silent. The war had only begun. And already, the galaxy was trembling. The Council chamber was in chaos. Smoke from a dozen alien incense burners filled the air, but it could not hide the fear in the voices of those gathered. Only a day had passed since the attack, and already, half of the Council's fleet lay in ruins. Delegates shouted over one another, their words sharp with panic. They should not have ships like that. They were supposed to be primitive, isolated. They struck from nowhere. Like shadows. The machine intelligence that served as the council's speaker raised its glowing arms for silence. We underestimated them. Humanity has hidden strength. A scaled commander, his face twisted with rage, slammed the table. Strength. They are vermin. They cannot stand against the full weight of the galaxy. But even as he roared, the fear in his eyes betrayed him. For centuries, the council had believed humans were no threat. Now, the truth was clear. Humans had built fleets in silence, fleets that could tear through council ships like paper. The insectoid delegate hissed, wings trembling. If we do not crush them now, it will be too late. Every species will remember this. The humans will rise. The speaker's voice was calm, but its tone was cold as iron. Then we will not send fleets. Fleets can be destroyed. We will break humanity from within. The chamber grew still. Assassins. Saboteurs. Betrayal. The words hung heavy, unspoken, but understood by all. Far from the council, in the orbit of Earth, the human war room received grim reports. Colonies on the outer edge of human space were under attack. Supply lines were cut. Ships carrying civilians had vanished without trace. Admiral Reyes studied the maps, her jaw set tight. They've changed their tactics. No more armadas. They're striking at our weak points. General Astor cursed under his breath. Cowards. They can't face us directly anymore. Ryland Kane stood in silence, his arms crossed. He knew this pattern well. He had fought enemies like this before. When strength failed, they turned to shadows. And shadows were always the most dangerous. He spoke at last. They want to break our unity. They will target colonies, families, even our food and fuel. They think if they starve us, if they make us fear, we'll surrender. Will we? A young officer asked nervously. Ryland's gaze was steady. No. But people will suffer if we do nothing. We have to protect them. The room fell into silence. Protecting every outpost was impossible. Humanity had stretched far in secret, but not far enough to guard everything. They had to choose. Reyes broke the silence. What if we don't defend, but strike? If they send assassins and saboteurs, then we hunt them before they reach us. Ryland's lips curved slightly. Turn the shadows against them. 2 nights later, deep in the city of Ulisar, the very capital of the council, an alien figure slipped through dark alleys. His cloak shimmered, his steps silent. In his hand was a small vial, glowing with deadly light. Inside was a weapon not of war, but of silence, a virus designed to kill only humans. He never reached his target. As he turned a corner, a blade pressed against his throat. From the shadows stepped a figure with human eyes and a cruel smile. Going somewhere. The human whispered. The assassin froze. Impossible. Humans cannot be here. The blade pressed harder. We are everywhere. Moments later, the alien's body lay silent, the vial shattered under human boots. Across the galaxy, again and again, the same thing happened. Alien saboteurs sent to poison human colonies vanished. Assassins never returned. Weapons meant for Earth were turned against their makers. The council began to whisper in fear. How were humans everywhere? How did they always know? They did not realize that for every spy the council sent, humanity already had 2 in place. Decades of watching, listening, waiting. Now it all paid off. Back on Earth, reports of victory filled the war room. Ryland listened quietly as officers spoke of intercepted assassins and captured saboteurs. But he did not smile. They won't stop, he said. Next, they'll send something bigger. Something louder. They want to show the galaxy we can still bleed. General Astor frowned. What kind of strike? Ryland turned toward the stars shown on the great display. His voice was steady, but his eyes were hard. They will come for Earth itself. The room grew cold. Everyone knew what that meant. The council would risk everything to strike at the heart, To break humanity's will before it spread too far. Reyes leaned forward, her voice sharp. Then we must be ready. If they want to come to Earth, let them. Rylan nodded once. Yes. Let them. Far away, in the black between stars, the Council's new fleet gathered. These were not scouts or assassins. These were warships, the strongest they could summon. Their commanders spoke with grim certainty. No more shadows. No more delays. We burn Earth, and we end this before it spreads. The engines of 1,000 alien warships lit the void. And they were coming. The alarms on Earth rang across the skies. From orbiting satellites to deep-sea bunkers, the same message spread through every channel. Enemy fleet inbound. Estimated time, 6 hours. The people of Earth looked up that night and saw the stars moving. Not natural stars, but engines, thousands of them, glowing like a storm on the edge of the black. The largest alien armada in history was coming, and its target was clear. In the war room, the atmosphere was tense but calm. Holographic displays filled the chamber, showing the enemy formation. The Council had sent everything: giant war cruisers, heavy carriers, swarms of smaller strike craft. Admiral Reyes stood at the front, her voice sharp. They've thrown their full weight into this strike. Their plan is simple: overwhelm Earth before our fleets can regroup. General Astor gritted his teeth. They think we're cornered. They think this is the end. All eyes turned to Rylan Kane. He had not spoken yet, but the weight of the room pressed toward him. He studied the display silently, then finally said, "This is not the end. This is the moment we show them what humanity really is." Above Earth, humanity's fleets gathered. Dozens of massive warships rose from the planet's surface, their engines burning white. Cloaked squadrons drifted like shadows on the edges of space. Defense platforms armed themselves, their cannons humming with power. Billions on the surface watched from cities, mountains, and oceans as the sky filled with ships. No longer hidden, no longer silent, humanity revealed its true strength. A child standing on a rooftop whispered to his mother, "Will they protect us?" And she answered softly, "They always do." The alien armada crossed the boundary of Sol. Their lead commander, the scaled creature with burning green eyes, stared at the human defense with contempt. "They are fewer," he hissed to his officers. "Crush them. Burn their world until nothing remains." The order was given. The armada advanced. The battle began in silence. No sound traveled in the void, only flashes of light and streaks of fire. Human stealth ships struck first, emerging from the dark. Their weapons tore through the front lines of the alien fleet, splitting cruisers in half before vanishing back into shadow. The aliens roared in confusion. They fired blindly into the dark, their cannons blazing, but hit nothing. Then, from Earth's orbit, the heavy warships opened fire. Massive cannons lit the void with burning lances of energy, cutting through enemy hulls like knives through glass. Explosions filled the black, bright as new stars. But the alien fleet pressed on. Their numbers were vast, their determination iron. Wave after wave of fighters swarmed forward, clashing with human interceptors in vicious dogfights. The skies above Earth became a storm of fire and metal. Inside one of the human warships, pilots gripped their controls, their voices steady despite the chaos. Targets locked. Firing now. Stay sharp, stay alive. Rylan's voice echoed across the fleet channel. Calm. Unshakable. They came for our death. Show them life fights harder. For every human ship destroyed, 3 alien ships fell. But still, the Council's armada pushed closer, closer to Earth. Their plan was clear: pierce through the defenses, bombard the planet itself, and end the war in one strike. Alarms screamed inside the war room. Admiral Reyes' eyes narrowed. They're breaking the outer line. If they reach the atmosphere. Rylan cut her off. They won't. He turned to General Astor. Release the Titan. The general's eyes widened. It's not ready. Ryland's voice hardened. It's ready enough. Far below the surface of Earth, deep inside a mountain no alien had ever seen, a colossal hangar opened. The ground trembled as something rose from the depths. A ship. Not just a ship, but a giant, larger than anything in human or alien fleets. Its hull was black steel, etched with scars of old wars. Its engines roared like thunder. It was the Titan, humanity's greatest weapon. A ship built in silence, armed with weapons so powerful even humans had feared to use it. As it rose into orbit, the people of Earth looked to the sky and saw hope made into metal. The alien armada paused. For the first time, their formation faltered. Their sensors screamed warnings at the sheer scale of the vessel before them. The scaled commander's eyes widened. What is that? The answer came in the form of fire. The Titan's cannons unleashed a storm. Beams of burning light tore through the enemy fleet, vaporizing ships in seconds. Missiles streaked out in swarms, each one splitting into dozens more, ripping apart cruisers and carriers. The void became a sea of explosions. Alien officers screamed in disbelief. No fleet should have that power. But it was too late. The Titan moved forward like a predator among prey, each shot shattering another enemy vessel. In the war room, the battle map glowed with red and blue markers. Slowly, painfully, the red marks, the alien fleet, began to vanish. General Astor whispered in awe. They never stood a chance. But Ryland's expression stayed hard. He knew the battle was not over. Not yet. The Council had risked everything to strike at Earth. They would not retreat quietly. They will fight until the last ship, he said. And we must answer until the last man. His eyes locked on the display, watching as the Titan carved through the armada. The Council wanted humanity's death. But now, it was their fleet that burned. When the smoke cleared, the void above Earth was filled with wreckage. Alien ships drifted broken and silent, their crews lost to the black. The few survivors fled, engines screaming as they vanished into faster-than-light escape. Earth still stood. Humanity still lived. And now, the galaxy had seen the truth. The wreckage of the alien armada drifted above Earth, silent and broken. Flames of shattered warships flickered like dying stars across the void. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy had thrown its full strength at a single world, and lost. In the war room, the officers stood in silence. The battle was over, yet no one cheered. They all knew this was not the end. The survivors of the Council fleet had escaped. They would return with more, or worse, gather allies desperate to erase humanity before it rose further. General Astor broke the silence. We won today. But if we wait here, they'll come again. Next time, with twice the force. Admiral Reyes nodded grimly. They'll never stop. Not after this humiliation. They'll throw everything they have until either they win, or we do. All eyes turned to Ryland Kane. He stood at the edge of the display, watching the flickering red markers that showed the last fragments of the enemy retreat. His voice was calm, steady, but filled with iron. Then we don't wait. We take the fight to them. The room went still. Reyes raised a brow. To them. You mean? Yes, Ryland said. We strike the Council. On their own ground. In their own halls. They chose this war. Now they will see what it means to invite humanity's wrath. Hours later, fleets moved into position. Not just Earth ships, but hidden squadrons from colonies the Council never knew existed. Cloaked warships slipped from asteroid belts. Carriers rose from beneath frozen oceans. Humanity's true reach revealed itself system by system. The galaxy had believed Earth was small. They would soon learn Earth was everywhere. The Titan led the charge. Its engines burned brighter than a sun as it cut through space, followed by waves of human warships. Their course was set, straight toward Ulisar, the Council's capital. On Ulisar, panic reigned. The delegates screamed in disbelief as reports flooded in. Human fleets are moving. They are heading here, directly here. They dare to strike us? The speaker's cold voice echoed through the chamber. Impossible. They cannot breach our defenses. Ulisar has never fallen. But even as it spoke, alarms rang across the city. Defense satellites lit the skies, preparing for war. Civilian ships fled in every direction. And on the horizon of space, humanity's fleets arrived. The battle for Ulisar began with fire. Human warships dropped from faster-than-light travel and opened fire instantly. Their weapons tore through the first line of Council defenses before the aliens could even respond. The skies above the capital world turned into chaos. Alien cruisers scrambled to form a wall, but the Titan shattered them with a single blast from its main cannon. Human strike wings dove into the chaos, weaving between enemy formations, unleashing precise destruction. On the ground, the Council watched in horror as explosions lit the heavens. The safety of Ulisar was gone. Their chamber shook with every impact. This cannot be, one delegate cried. We are the Council. They should fear us. But another answered with trembling words. It is too late. We should have feared them. In orbit, Ryland's voice carried across the human fleet. We do not fight for conquest. We do not fight for power. We fight because they demanded our death. Today, the galaxy will remember, humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break. Humanity rises. His words echoed into the comms, into the hearts of every pilot, every soldier. The human fleet pushed forward with relentless force. Council ships fell one after another. The skies over Ulisar burned. And soon, the fleet's defenses shattered completely. The Titan descended lower, casting its shadow over the capital itself. Its weapons locked onto the Council's central chamber, the very hall where they had voted to exterminate humanity. Inside, the delegates froze as the walls trembled. For the first time in history, the rulers of the galaxy were prey. But Ryland did not give the order to fire. His voice cut through the silence of the fleet. No, he said firmly. We do not erase worlds as they would erase us. We strike only at those who sought our death. Instead of destruction, the Titan broadcast the recording again. Across every channel, across every world, the galaxy heard the voices of the Council calling for humanity's extermination. And then they heard the roar of the human fleet outside Ulisar, undeniable proof that Earth had survived. Billions across the galaxy saw the truth. The Council had been exposed. Humanity had stood against their might, and won. Inside the war room on Earth, the final reports came in. The battle was over. The Council had not been destroyed, but they had been broken. Their fleets shattered, their power ruined, their lies revealed. General Astor let out a long breath. It's finished. Admiral Reyes shook her head. No. It's only the beginning. From this day forward, no one will ever look at humanity the same way. Ryland stood at the center, silent, staring at the stars on the display. His face was calm, but his words carried the weight of a promise that would echo through history. They wanted our death, he said quietly. Instead, they gave us life among the stars. And so it was. From that day, the galaxy no longer whispered about humanity in shadows. They spoke with awe, with fear, with respect. For when the galaxy demanded Earth's death, a human had been listening. And humanity had answered. With fire. With strength. With survival. Forever.